in class we're going to be doing a lot of I'm going to kind of run this course along the idea of perennial questions that people have thought about and asked for ages. So I'll throw out a question and we might discuss it for 2 or 3 class periods. I'm trying to have it be more of an informal space. Goodness knows we have only 30 minutes to begin with here. So I'm going to throw out the question, maybe articulate it, define it a bit, and then have us discuss it. Outside of class, you'll have videos to watch and readings to do. For example, this is the textbook, right? Do you have this?
No.
Did you get the list of books that you needed to buy for my class?
No.
No, I did provide that to whoever I needed to provide it to. So you need this book. Okay, it's called Simon Blackburn, Think. He didn't have to think a lot for that title, but maybe he did. Maybe think. A compelling introduction to philosophy. We probably are going to meet 15 times over the course of 30 times over the course of the year. There are 310 pages in this book. 10 are further readings, suggested readings. So I'm going to have us read 10 pages every week. That's really not much. This is easy reading. Pages are small. There's a nice line and a half, I think, going on with the spacing. So check it out from your library. I would suggest that you have your local library card. Fines are paid. You're in good standing. Use the consortium. Order the book online from Search Ohio. If it's not all that easy for you to do that for whatever reason, then I would buy it off abebooks.com, ABE Books. ABE stands for Advanced Book Exchange. abebooks.com. You could probably get it for $2. Shipping's going to be $2. If you do Amazon Prime or whatnot, get it from there. 2-day shipping. Or go, I don't know if you can just, Hudson Library might just have a copy of this on the shelf. Get over there and get one. So I'm not going to actually assign reading this week. I'll give you 1 week to get it. But probably next Thursday, I'll give you reading to do. Okay, and we're just going to do 10 pages. By the end of the year, we'll be done with this book. Now, I'll supplement this with actual primary sources. We also will read the first 2 meditations of Descartes, and we'll find these online. Okay, we're going to do that soon, and we'll read other things too. I'll bring in other work. If you really want to get started on this, we are going to read the first 2 meditations of Descartes, and then of his method, and then we're going to read Plato. I forget the name. I should know it. Where he talks about enthusiasm. Yes, sir. Mr. W.
Me and Maddie already read.
And Megan. I'm reading it.
What are you reading?
Descartes.
Descartes. Did you read the first 2 meditations?
We read the first bit, yeah.
Okay. All right. Then just review it. All right. That's all. I just, I need you to. You're not going to have like a. Well, I'll see how faithful you are to the readings, actually getting them done. But I'm not going to just say all the time we're going to have reading checks. If I need that to make sure that you do it, we will. But yeah, just review, Dan. Okay. You need to be familiar with Descartes' evil demon. Blackburn will talk about it, but let's really just read all of the first 2 meditations. All right. Any other questions before I just kind of keep on unloading? Okay. Now I will learn your names. Unfortunately, I already started the recording, so I will do that later throughout the next times we meet and all that. So your work between now and next. Is it next Thursday? Wow. Okay. Get the book. And why don't we go ahead online, find online versions of Descartes' first 2 meditations. And just go ahead and read them. Okay. What else do you need to do between now and Thursday? And I realize that this is not a full-scale class, so I'm not going to just load you down with stuff, and we will have assignments that are sparingly placed. But I do want you to sign up for course sites. All right, so those of you that have had me before, it's the same old thing, except I just disenrolled you because I didn't know you were going to be in this class again. So I just, would you take one and pass it around, please?
Dr. Thorne, we're three of us or four. We're all in Blackboard through Kent.
Mm-hmm.
So can we just?
No, unfortunately not, because Blackboard is the Cadillac. CourseSites is owned by Blackboard, but it's the Dodge, the Dodge Caravan or whatever. So, nevertheless, it is free and it's powerful enough. Okay. So, in order for me to actually get to you on Blackboard, I would have an account, and then I would be compromising my employment agreements because I would be earning money otherwise through that Kent account. And through Kent. So let's do it this way. But if you are familiar with Blackboard, then you're going to be familiar with CourseSites. And now I have our work is going to be under the course called Core Learning Units. And you need to set up an account at this site, CourseSites.com. Setting up an account is easy enough, except for one thing. It's going to ask you to list an institution. Just write the word self, S-E-L-F. Okay. Now it's going to ask you for a dedicated email address and a user. You're going to come up with a username and a password. So you need to remember all of those things. Please do that. And record it somewhere. And then once you have an account, you can search for my class. You can do this little number, or if you just go to www.coursites.com and sign up, make an account, at the end of it you can ask, they'll ask you, do you want to search for a class to join? And search for Core Learning Units. And see, it's up here, Core Learning Units. You can search for that name, or you can search for CLU.ALL. Two small L's. I should have made them two large L's. But type it pretty much exactly like that. And then you should find it, and it'll say Instructor Matt Horn. Click to enroll. It doesn't happen automatically. I have to let you in. But I'll certainly respond within within 24 hours of receiving the request. And it's pretty essential that you get in there. I'm going to require that you do enroll. So there are a couple ways to do this. Let's try to get this done before next Thursday too. We will be discussing a lot of topics and then we'll dig deeper to the warrants of those topics and to the grounds of those warrants, and we'll come up for light. And you may experience a cognitive shift. Okay. Like you're shifting cognitive gears, and sometimes that's not so smooth. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I've done this enough, and I've watched things happen where you all of a sudden start entertaining or embracing beliefs that are not contradictory to say reveal truth, but may not be those which are encouraged or explicitly mentioned in your household. Okay, and the last thing I want to do is to have you become an outspoken. Your parents care so much for you, all right? I don't want you to start challenging them on views that they may actually have been holding because of tradition or because of some strange sense of commitment to it, but not really based on reason or rationality. And you might say, well, I don't think that's really. Well, be very considerate of your parents when you may begin to experience some maybe true ownership of your positions happening within you, and you begin to realize, I'm a different person from my parents. I don't think I actually believe that in that same way. Please don't, get them all concerned. And I've had that happen, and it can happen in a very good way, and it should happen. It's ownership. You need to be able to own your own convictions and beliefs. But how do you own them without first analyzing them? How do you own them correctly without first analyzing them? And figuring out what are your criteria for evidence, for sense, for justification of holding on to that belief. And then it becomes much more than just something you've always done, so you're going to keep on doing it, or something you've never really considered because you haven't had to consider it, but you're just going to go ahead and do the status quo as far as it goes in terms of what your family does or believes, and it enables you to walk away with true convictions, which is, I believe, one of the few sources for genuine sustained action for you to do stuff in your life. So you might see a lot of people begin in excitement to take on a cause or an activity, but because they haven't first established it on a bedrock of what do I really believe, what do I sense is this worthwhile or not, they fall away because it was really based on some excitement or enthusiasm in the moment. So, well, anyway, let's go ahead and begin. Any questions to this point? Okay, Mr. X, J, E, G, Q, W, M. All right, nice letters. I should also mention, I'll send you a notice once you're in course sites to look at the other part of this class, 30 minutes in class, 30 minutes out of class. And the 30 minutes out of class will not only be reading, but also watching a video, at least one a week. This week's video is on terminology. I could do it right here, but I don't necessarily need your input for that. So why don't I just do it at home? Okay. And let you talk with me here. So I'm going to throw out the first question, okay? Or should I go that route? I guess I should back up a little bit and talk about the method of the class. And we can discuss, because I think it may have been introduced to you this way, as far as like, hey, this is a class that's going to help you tie in the values you've learned from classical studies. And try to make sense of it all, but that's a huge task, and to do that right would require really a lot of time spent in classical philosophy, or at least medieval scholasticism, the same ideas that were at play when the authors who wrote the sources you're reading in the classical curriculum wrote those sources. I don't know if I really want to turn that into that sort of historical approach. Rather, I want to train analytic skill, your analysis skill. But I did say it was going to be tied into the culture. So let me throw you an example, okay? Remember the Super Bowl? Now, it wasn't last Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before that, when Clint Eastwood came on as a commercial about Detroit. Do you remember that Detroit commercial? He said, it's halftime in America. America, it's halftime or something. And this was when, the auto industry was kind of just barely coming out, and people were scared because it was after the Great Recession. And so they played this commercial, all right, Clint Eastwood in Detroit. I mean, that's how it was presented to you in the commercial. And I'll have you watch it in course sites, okay? You can find it on YouTube. It was incredibly motivating. It was one of the best commercials in that Super Bowl year. Just out of a show of hands. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Or you've seen it? Okay, well, you'll see it by soon. You need to see it. In fact, commercials, you want them to be funny, right? I mean, you just want to just see that really funny one. Like, there's some really funny ones now, and I can't remember what they were, but
E-Trade,
pardon?
E-Trade, baby.
Yes, okay. My wife loves the E-Trade, baby. We want that sort of humor. Commercials are their own genre, and they have their own classics, right? Well, but this one wasn't funny at all, but it was one of the most well received. The hits were okay. Until it was discovered that, Clint Eastwood was not in Detroit. He was in Los Angeles. The background, you see the buildings and the bridges, that wasn't Detroit at all. I think it was definitely someplace in California. It might have even been Boston. It wasn't Detroit. There was a mini furor, a tempest in a teapot about this, and people were slamming Clint Eastwood and the hypocrisy of it all. What do you think, for someone to actually do that, what is the value? What are the values they're exposing? Because look, okay, for me, I saw it, okay? And then I'm like, oh, that's so great. And then like a day later, I find out it wasn't Detroit. Oh, for crying out loud. And then I go write emails to CNN or whatever, Why would I get all excited? If I'm getting all excited about that, what are the values that I'm exposing? Can you just discuss this with me? What do you think I would have to first believe in order to get really angry that Clint Eastwood wasn't in Detroit when he did this about Detroit? Yes.
Well, you must think that television is always accurate and
okay.
It's always authentic.
Okay, so G, thank you for your comment. Television is accurate, authentic. Okay, so some people may have actually thought, well, if it's on TV, it's accurate and authentic. Oh, what? It wasn't Detroit? TV must not be a trustworthy source for me then, and I'm really upset about that. Because I need trustworthy sources in my life for information, and it's called poisoning the well. That's actually a philosophical term. If you poison the well, like, okay, here's a nice well, you drink from it every day. This is your inflow of data, right? But then someone comes along and throws in a cyanide tablet. Great, really great. Okay, now can you get anything out of the well now? Can you get anything, if you actually poison the land, which is even worse, can you get anything out of the other wells? Because it's all the water table, same water table. So if TV gets poisoned, all of a sudden these people, I can't trust a newspaper. I can't trust. So there may be people that really thought of TV as the purveyor of trustworthy information. And this just blew their minds away. But if you look at what Clint Eastwood said, his words, it was all true. The facts were right. So why did they get angry that the picture behind him wasn't Detroit when everything he said was actually factually correct? So what values were being exposed there? Anyone else? Thank you. And it wasn't across the board. It's not like everyone got angry. I certainly didn't. But enough people did for it to become a national conversation, trending now, that sort of thing. Either we're incredibly bored, which I think might be a possibility, and we're addicted to like the 5-minute break because you're at your desk. Many people are at their desks and they have internet access, and it's just the 5-minute break thing, right? And that might be the result of this. But it made national news, and it was quite a big conversation. So values that were exposed there, beliefs that if they believed that they should get angry about that, what else did they believe?
That if one part of it is false, the whole thing is false.
Okay, all right. This is the idea of composition, right? You're looking at a complete object, and you can think of it in terms of parts. And if but this sort of thinking really makes a strong connection between the qualities of the part and the qualities of the whole, which in philosophy is known as the fallacy of composition. It could be fallacious thinking because you look at one nail and you can lift the thing up. Very easy. You look at a barrel of nails, you can't lift that thing. So the quality of the whole does not equal the quality of the part in the barrel case of the nail, the barrel of nails. Another thing about the barrel of nails is that if you look at it as a whole, you can take one nail and try to break it, and you're not going to do it. Unless you were bitten by some spider and you can live to tell the tale. And actually, I was bitten by a spider. It did nothing for me except made a big hole in my leg. It took like 2 months to heal. It was awful. I kid you not. I'm not going to show you the spider, but it's right here. And my kids were praying about the spider bite, and we went on a spider hunt. Nothing happened. Not going to break the nail. Okay, not going to break the nail. But can I pick up let's take the wood away from the barrel. And let's just, if we can suspend the law of gravity, can we put the nails, can we just pick up the object of the barrel of nails and break it in half? Yeah, we can. Now let's apply this. You can rip one page in half easily. Now take a phone book. Can you read the phone? So the qualities of the part, we know in common experience, do not always equal the qualities of the whole. But these people might say, if that part of the presentation were false, then all of it is compromised. Okay?
Well, isn't it possible that their anger is an irrational anger then?
Okay. What did you say? Rational or irrational?
Irrational, that their anger is not something that's
Yeah, I think that this sort of thing, okay, because they obviously can go to the movies and watch, say, A Beautiful Mind and not go crazy because, well, Nash and it doesn't look like that. Nash doesn't look, who played like Russell Crowe? Have you seen Nash? You should take a glimpse of what Nash looks like. He doesn't look like Russell Crowe. He does not look like Russell Crowe. I guarantee you that. So, are they going to get all up in arms about that? Nash didn't look like Russell Crowe. He doesn't. He's still alive. I think it'd be fun to see. Email him, see if you get a response. His website is horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. It's text only. He's just tremendously old school, but I give him a lot of credit for even producing a website. No, they don't get angry about that. So might not this be evidence of schizophrenic thinking? That That's a phrase that's in common use. You got to be careful with these phrases because sometimes they're instructor specific. Like I just made up the phrase. And I'll try to tell you that when I just made up a phrase, so that you don't think other phrases that you can talk to some other teacher about and use that phrase and have that other teacher understand necessarily. Other phrases are becoming established as currency. Okay, the schizophrenic mind is such a phrase. Others are just well established, like the poisoning of the well. But the schizophrenic mind is that person that can, in one moment in time, espouse a certain sets of beliefs, and another moment of time, espouse the opposites. Now, I think the genuine schizophrenic may, in fact, be able to do that at once, but I'm not sure about that. But for the most part, normal people that engage in schizophrenic thinking have to be separated in terms of time. Like one day they might be all up in arms about this, and then an hour later, when they're all done with that, they go to the movies and they can compartmentalize things. And as they walk into this new compartment of entertainment, they can just forget about everything they said. Very, very endemic. I mean, it's spread across the humanity. It's a common habit. It's very, very dangerous. It's dangerous. It reveals either one of two things. One, that you actually don't know what you believe. Because if they're truly contradictory, you can't switch like that. Or two, you don't care. So it's either apathy or ignorance that it reveals. And the trouble with what we're going to do is, because philosophy is what's known as the soft science, right? Mm-hmm. And its object for study is truth. And we'll get these terms through the other video. But it's always connected with the human subject. Okay? Truth in relation to how it affects you as a human and what you should do with this knowledge once you figure out what is true. So the question Pilate asked Jesus is in fact the core, a fundamental question. What is truth? But it's always connected with how humans are doing this. Okay? And humans that are in their original state, okay, are tricksy beings, as I think Gollum would put it, tricksy hobbits. Because we let a lot of things influence us. There are a lot of, I don't want to say irrational, but let's say irrational. They're just not rational things that influence us, like emotion, anger, frustration, jealousies. I don't want to just say all of these are emotion, and I don't want to say all of them are intuition. But it's a strange category of things that cloud our reason at time and allow us to do many things that for people that know us in the long run can quickly be viewed as hypocritical activity. All right. But as you begin to make our way through these issues in this course, and you may begin to have mercy on that and stop judging that so much, because we ourselves are prone to this. And we'll see that, in time. Well, it's 1:28. We have 2 more minutes. Any questions? Please keep these little things, the letters, and then again for next Thursday, get the book. I won't give you any reading yet. Just try to get it ASAP. But I do know that you can find online Descartes. I have to admit, I don't remember how long the meditations are. Discourse on meditation or method. Discourse on method. How long are the meditations?
They're not that long.
Well, let's do one. Okay, fine. You can print out both 1 and 2, but let's go ahead and do 1, and then enroll in course sites. Okay, thank you for your attention.